This video is for educational purposes only, and this is second installment in a series that's starting called DNA Test is a Must. Of course, they're gonna talk about it, and I'll be giving my commentary.
Hello, Your Honor. Hello. This is a case of Montgomery Jr. versus Dabney.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Montgomery, according to my court documents, you claim the defendant is a liar, and you admit to poor judgment when you slept with her.
Well, let me say something here. As our judges say, he admits to poor judgment. At least he's honest enough to admit that he made a poor judgment, a poor mistake, and we all make bad calls and bad mistakes. But the thing is, as we make bad calls and bad mistakes, we as adults, whether man or woman, we should, try to learn from these mistakes or learn from our mistakes. Let's continue.
There have been rumors that she is known for pinning babies on men, and you open your case today because you now have doubts. You fathered her 3-year-old daughter, Nariah. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let me say something this before we move forward. A lot of times, if you hear rumors or hear warnings like that, you have to take those with a grain of salt, because sometimes, these things you hear, so one should be a red flag, and also too, you should take it as a warning, and let you know that hey, she proceed with cause. If you hear rumors of a woman who like to have babies and pin babies on people, that should let you know right then and there that maybe I shouldn't get involved with this woman. Maybe I shouldn't sleep with this woman. Or if I am going to sleep with this woman, I better protect myself. I better use a condom. I better, protect myself so I don't get caught up in this. All right, well, let's continue.
Ms. Dabney, you claim the plaintiff is a weak, gullible man and is only doubting.
And let me say this here. She said he's a weak, gullible man. A lot of I hate to say it, brothers, but a lot of us are weak, gullible men. Some of us have been weak, gullible men. I admit in the past, growing up when I was young and dumb, I was weak and gullible at times. But like I said, we got to know better. We got to do better. So anyway, let's continue.
Your daughter because of his meddling family. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. So, Mr. Montgomery,
So before we continue, also, she said about the nuclear family. Well, usually, in most cases, whenever people get involved in a relationship or a situationship or whatever it may be, a lot of times family members are going to get involved. Sometimes she's talking about his family meddling and getting involved. I'm pretty sure that her family probably got involved too. And sometimes their family get involved maybe because they don't like the person, or maybe they feel that, they kind of warn the person or something of, hey, maybe they see something in the person that you may not see or sense. And sometimes family will get involved and say something to try to warn you and try to, give you a heads up in some cases. Anyway, let's continue.
what was the nature of your relationship? How did you all meet?
A mutual friend.
You say friend to a friend,
That was a relationship between the two of us.
So how did you meet her, Mr. Montgomery?
He inboxed me on Facebook. He gave me her number.
And see, that's another thing too. You got to watch out, fellas. Especially it's a red flag. See, and red flag is that when you're talking and then she's trying to overtalk you. See, that's another sign too. What she says, she's a weak, gullible man, because usually, if a man is talking and a woman tries to talk over him, and he doesn't stand up to her and say, "Hey, let me speak first, and then you speak." Yeah, because usually that is a sign too. And a lot of times if a woman's talking, as well, if a woman's talking, you let her speak, say her piece, and then you say your piece. And a lot of times, when it comes to dynamic with being a woman, I know a lot of women might not want to hear this, but women, are more emotional than men, and then a lot of times women sometimes let their emotions take over in certain aspects. So anyway, let's continue.
He gave you my number. He never had my number, Your Honor. One at a time. You say a friend of yours gave you
her number. He
so
told me.
what? You saw her and you said she looks pretty. I want to have her number.
No, we was talking about girl that was easy to use before with. And so he gave me the number. I went over there. We only got maybe once or twice. There was nothing.
And like I say, also too, like I say, she obviously that says a part about what kind of woman this type of person is too. You know, a lot of times, he a friend. I guess she used to deal with a friend, and then her friend didn't want to deal with her anymore, so he passed the number on to him, and then she started talking. He started talking to her, and started messing with him. That's something else too. Let you know what kind of person you're dealing with here. But let's continue.
Never a relationship or nothing.
It's story don't even make sense. That don't even make sense. He inboxed me on Facebook. It was like, yeah, I see how you doing your own thing. You keep a job, you take care of your daughter. Whoop to this, whoop to that. Boom, after all that, he ended up hitting me back up. That's when I had gave him my number. We was texting for.
And that's another thing too, fellas. You got to watch out for too. Definitely a red flag for me. A woman that's real loud and boisterous and stuff. That's definitely something that you need to watch out for too. Because when you listen to how a person talks, that should be an indicator to let you know what kind of person this person is. And the way she's talking like this in the courtroom, I'm pretty sure that she talks this way like this outside of the courtroom, outside in the street, and outside in public, or pretty much anywhere. All right, let's continue.
Cool a minute. Then he asked, can he come chill? I was like, yeah, you come chill. We go to my homegirl house and chill because I didn't want him to know where I stayed. We go to my homegirl's house and chill, talk, do this, do that. He told me he was going to pull up on me, but he didn't pull up on me. He walked up on me. Like, he didn't even have a car. He didn't have a car. I didn't have a car either. But if I'm pulling up on somebody, I'm not going to walk to their house. So you say he going to pull up on me? Yeah, he walked up. Yeah. But he walked up. Yeah, because he didn't have a car. So after that, we chilled over my homegirl house. We chilled for a couple of hours or whatever. He was like, can you walk me to the gate? So I was like, yeah, I'll walk you to the gate. I walked him to the gate. We sit there. We talked for a little bit. After that, he went home. I went home or whatever. And then after that, we was texting like for a couple of hours, probably to like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
And let me say this real quick before she continue. Fellas, that's another thing you shouldn't be doing too. I mean, nothing wrong with little texts here and there like that, but you shouldn't be up there sitting up there. Okay, you seen her in person, you talk in person, which is good. Now, after you seen her, y'all sat down, you talk in person. You shouldn't be back and forth on the phone texting 2 or 3 hours. For hours at a time. Especially after y'all just got together, seeing each other and talking in person. But that's just my perspective on that. But anyway, let's continue.
From the time I met him, all the way up to the time we were texting, he was asking me to give me oil. And I kept telling him, no. So here it is, probably about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. He was like, can I come over? We can chill
And let me say this too, fellas. Let me say this too for the man. You don't keep begging and asking a woman, can you keep coming over? Can you come over? Can you come over? And she ask her maybe once, twice, couple times, whatever. She say no, be like, okay, no problem. And just wait, maybe wait a couple days, maybe wait a week or so, then hit her up again to see, she wouldn't to come over. But obviously, she liked the gentleman. She just, playing hard to get because he kept saying no. She kept saying no, and then next day, she allowed him to come by. But anyway, let's continue.
To pop in this history movie, it's a black and white movie, and we can, chill with it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not tripping. So he ended up coming over, and then he popped in, and we sitting there chilling. I'm on my phone the whole time because I'm not interested in no history movie. I'm not in school no more. So.
And let me say this too as well. That's one thing too. That's let you know of a sign of interest. Will find a person really interested in you. She does invite the man over, and then when she invite him over, they supposed to be watching a movie together. She's up there texting and playing on her phone. That should be a red flag as well too. That's something that you as gentlemen should also keep in mind too when you talking and dealing and dating someone. But anyway, let's continue.
After that, like, bro, like an hour or so, I had rolled past or whatever. So he had asked me again. He was like, "Can I give you some more?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go ahead and do it." So one thing led to the next.
That's fine.
Bro, after he did that, we ended up messing around. After we messed around, he ended up spending like the next day we walked around. Like, what you gonna do? Like, then after that, we didn't talk. We didn't talk for like another 3 to 4 months. And then throughout the 3 or 4.
Well, of course, he ain't talked to you for 3 or 4 months because he pretty much got what he wanted. So after he got what he wanted, he really ain't want, he really ain't want no dinners with you. That's something that you need to think about too. That's another thing you need to think about as well as yourself, young lady. Ladies, that's something you need to really think about. See, that's the problem with a lot of us. Not only men but women too. We don't take the time to vet people and really get to know them, see what they really all about. You know. Anyway, let's continue.
For months we didn't talk. I found out I was pregnant. All right, you got me there. Take a breath.
Yes, take a breath.
Okay, we will not accuse you of not being ready to testify today. Right? You are ready. But I want to understand Mr. Montgomery's side. I want you to respond to this, sir. You heard the account Ms. Dabney is laid out for the court.
Now everything she's saying is false. When we fooled around, I did go over there that night. There was a movie on. She wasn't interested in it. I've never offered her oral sex.
Oh my God.
Before the child, I'll be specific, I never said it.
Oh yes, you did, brother. Knock it off. You know you did. A lot of times, like guys, they'll say anything just to get what they want. Come on, brother. Knock it off. Keep it real. Keep it real. Don't sit up there trying to front in court. You went through all that begging and stuff, and I know while you going through all that begging with her that you offered to go downtown on the lady. Come on, brother, knock it off. Cut it out.
Even after child, see, we didn't did what we did after child was born. But before child was born, it was a one-time thing. She told me she was pregnant. I told the mutual friend who introduced her, told me about her. He was like, "Bro, don't believe her. She be lying." I told her I didn't believe her.
You inboxed me on Facebook, but that's not him introducing us. So what are you talking about? Regardless, you all were intimate.
Yeah.
And what I want to understand is, Mr. Montgomery, did you use protection when you were intimate? Okay, so you meet her, and for the first time, you say you don't even know her. You have unprotected sex with her.
See, that's another thing. Like I say, when you meet someone for the first time, and then y'all hook up and have sex. See, that's what I'm saying. You don't know them. They don't really know you. You don't know who she been messing with. You don't even know if she got a STD or something. Right? I mean, for all you know, that bro. I mean, you thinking with your little head, and then with your head downstairs, and not with your head in your brain. I mean, the woman could have had an STD. She could have HIV, could have AIDS, could have syphilis, gonorrhea. You just don't know. That's why I say it's very important when you do stuff like this, messing with somebody, fellas, to protect yourself. And also, I fought her as well, too. You're going to just up and sleep with somebody. All of a sudden, same thing, rules apply for him. He could have had something as well. He could have had HIV, AIDS, syphilis, gonorrhea, or some type of STD as well. See, that's why I say this is something that, y'all, men and women, both need to keep in mind. But anyway, let us continue.
Yes, I did.
And so then you said just a one night stand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Miss Dabney, tell me about the moment you found out you were pregnant. Take me to that day. What happened? Okay, so when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't tell nobody because I don't like people in my business. So I found out I was pregnant, and then I ended up dating this other dude or whatever. So then Richard ended up hitting me up one day, and then he tried to make it seem like, well, I wasn't trying to mess with you, and then just bounce on like we just messing around and I just left. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, oh, it was cool. Well, I found out I was pregnant like a month and a half ago. He was like, oh, for real? Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow because I guess he was doing something or whatever. So the next day we ended up talking on the phone. And then so he was like, well, you're going to have to show me some proof that it's mine. I was like, I'm not showing you nothing. You can come to a doctor's appointment with me. That's your proof right there. So then somehow
Let me say something real quick. A lot of times, when you say show you proof that that is yours, I mean, she could be pregnant. It might be yours, might not be yours, but the only way you're going to know if really show you proof is actually get a DNA test. You have to get a DNA test first. DNA test. That's the only way it's going to really prove the child is yours. To know for you to find out if the child is yours. All right, let's continue. fellas. If you say it's your woman says your child, just say okay, fine. If it's my child, then we once we get a DNA test and we go from there. And all that being petty, blocking, and all that stuff. All time you block unless she's being, all time I suggest you block a person. Well, in this case, block the person unless the person's being disrespectful, calling you out your name, or slandering and stuff like that. I can understand you blocking them, but you shouldn't just block the person if the person's saying that just saying that, hey, I'm pregnant, it's your child and stuff like that. All you gotta do is, if you don't want to deal with her, say, look here, we go to court or we'll go get a DNA test, and then that'll end it like that. Real simple. So anyway, let's continue.
I didn't talk to Richard at all. Like, not even a text message, a phone call, no nothing. Okay, wait a minute. Did you tell this other guy? Yeah, I had told the other guy that he was the father because he was doing for me. So I'm like, well, I'm already.
And see, that's why I say you got to be careful too. Because see, she said this guy here is the father, and then she messing with this other dude, and she's telling the other dude's the father. So, and see, that's what I'm saying. Stuff like this, end up, becoming a messy situation when things go down like this and things happen. All right, let's continue.
Already getting good, so if I tell him that I'm pregnant by him, but I was already pregnant before we even got together.
She's looking for a couple.
So if I tell you told, even though you knew you were pregnant before you got with this new guy, you told that guy he was the father? Yes. Or were you truly confused about it? No, I knew who my baby father was. I just told him.
No, that maybe what she said is so, but she could have been messing with the other dude at the same time. She telling the court that she knew he wasn't the father, but all in all, that she could have been messing while she messing with this guy. She could have been messing with the other guy around the same time, and then now she's saying that he the father because she think he is the father, which he might be, but also the other guy could be the father as well, because if the other guy knew that she was pregnant, whatever, she ain't gonna just tell him that she's pregnant if the guy know that she was already pregnant when he got involved with her. This girl's lying. I think she was messing with both of them around the same time. Anyway, let's continue.
He was the father because we were together and I didn't want him to think, but it was just awkward at the time, which I should never. So you had this other guy believing he was, yes, Mariah's biological father. Yeah. And he accepted it. Yes. Was he with you for doctor's appointments? No, because we ended up breaking up. If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. When's the first time Mr. Montgomery even met Nariah? Nariah, okay, so I had her, and then my grandmother was like, well, you're not going to tell her father that you had her. I was like, no, because he ain't been here this whole 9 months, so why tell him now? Then I sit up there and thought about it. I'm still in the hospital. So then I sit up there and I thought about it. I said, okay, so I ended up hitting up his brother. And I was like, well, I had a whole baby by your brother, by Richard. He don't even know. A whole baby.
I understand that she let the brother share the baby, but she also should have tried to get in contact with him, let them know that she, hey, I had this baby, and this baby's yours. I mean, it's okay to tell the brother, but you should have been trying to get in touch with him and let him know from the beginning. Or unless you couldn't get in contact with her and you only could get in contact with the brother, that's the only time you should reach out to the brother. But if you can reach out to him directly himself, then you reach out directly to him himself and let him know, instead of relaying the message to a family member or something like his. All right, let's continue.
Baby, I had a whole baby by your brother and he don't even know. As if there could be a half of baby.
That wasn't even.
And let me say this too. See, a lot of times, and that's why I say a lot of times you can, by talking and listening to a person, you can really kind of find out what kind of a little bit about a person by talking to them and spending time with them. And a lot of times, if she's talking like this, I can only imagine she was talking like this the same way when they first met and got involved with each other. So brother should have been on point. Should have had, been paying more attention and realizing what he was getting into before he got into it. So anyway, let's continue.
No response.
So he ended up, of course, it's a whole. Yeah.
That wasn't even a response.
So I ended up, he was like, well, can you send me some pictures? I'm like, all right, cool. Sent him some pictures. So then he called me back. He like, yeah. He like, yeah, she look just like me. She got my nose, this, that, and the other. After that, he was like, when y'all getting out the hospital? I was like, we're getting out the hospital tomorrow. So after we got out the hospital, he shot over there. He ran to my apartment and came and seen her. Was holding her for a long time. So I'm like, why are you looking at her like that? Because she looks just like me. But now all of a sudden, she's not yours just because I be telling you.
Like
every time we get into it, she like my other daughter too, but she look more like you than she look like her. Every time we get into it, yes, I do say she's not yours because I be mad at the
that's
mom.
why we're here.
Because I be mad at the mom. But 3 years later, you want a paternity?
Well, like I said, I mean, maybe the child is his, or that we don't know. We'll soon find out here shortly. But the fact is that if you're not sure about the child, try not to really, get too attached and claim the child. If you have doubts, just let her know. Look, it could be my child, but I got doubts. Let's get a DNA test so I can find out if this child is really mine or not. Then that way you know what's going on and what you're getting into before you become attached to a child and stuff like that. So, anyway, let's continue.
He said, you let your family hype you up.
I need my proof.
You let your family hype you up.
You told that child.
Let your family hype you up. Okay, all right.
She's told that child I was dead.
Sure did. What? Yeah.
And let me say something here before the judge speaks. Again, that's another thing. Some people get mad. It's not, now I'm not to all women, because I know all women don't do this. But to a side of women, some women do stuff like this. Will lie to a child because they're mad at the father and will say stuff like the father, oh, he's dead or something like that. That's something you don't say to a child or whatever. Child asks about child, if the child's able to talk and the child asks about the father and you don't know what's going on with the father, just say, look, even though we don't know if this man is really the father or not, I mean, it could be, we'll find out here soon whether he's the father of that. But if he is the father of the child, then the child's going to have questions like, Mama, why did you say that, he was dead? You said my father was dead. So you gotta be careful when you say stuff like that, not only around the child or to the child, but also the other people as well. And that's why I say go back to you guys, before you lay down and get involved with somebody and stuff. You need to know who you get involved with, and also too, especially you get involved, let's say with a one night stand, quote unquote, you need to protect yourself so you don't end up going through a situation and drama like this guy's going through now. So let's continue.
I don't like him. I don't like him. You still don't do that to your child. I don't care how much you don't like him, Miss Dabney. You know that's wrong. Yeah, it is wrong. If you say that is your child's father, you don't tell the child. I mean, Mariah's 3, right? And listen, it's obvious you all don't care too much for one another. But unfortunately, I wish you would have realized that before you had sex and made a whole person, right? As you would say. I wish you would have surveyed to get to know the whole person. Then you would have decided whether this is somebody I want to lay down with, make a baby with, co-parent with, and spend the next 20 years with. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is when you have a baby with somebody.
Before she continue, let me say this. That's why I say, what just say the judge is reiterating some of the same things I've been saying as well. That's why I say you really got to get to know somebody. And if you're just going to be with a person, it's just going to be a hit it and, as they say, quit it type situation. If you're going to do that, at least protect yourself. Not only for your sake, for her sake, not only just for not getting the girl or getting the lady pregnant, but also for the STDs. And ladies as well as you too, because if you're just going to lay down with a guy willy-nilly, you need to make him protect yourself, because you don't know, whether he's going to be where you get pregnant, or he's going to be there for your child or not. And also on top of that as well, you don't know whether he has something in that. Same thing I said earlier. It's something for everybody to think about. All right, let's continue.
Montgomery, you're saying at first you took on the responsibility, but every time she got angry, she said you weren't the dad.
Yes, ma'am.
People were telling you things. So then you started to doubt. At what point do you really start doubting?
Multiple times, her saying that she's not mine. When she told me that the child was dead, the text messages that I have, where she told me that her and her boyfriend decided I can't see the child.
The child was dead.
What is this?
This is from me asking Miss
May
Dash.
I see that, Jerome? Pass me that evidence.
This was from July.
Oh, let me say this before as he gets ready. Give the judge the information. See, that's why I say not only for guys but for ladies too, for both of you guys, gotta be careful because people hold on to text messages for a long time. Some people hold on to text messages for months, even years. Sometimes, when you say certain things and stuff. And then the ladies, let me tell you something else too. Even if this man is the father, the first time you tell that man he's not the father, he's gonna. Some guys they're gonna believe they're the father, but the minute you tell them that they're not the father, then they're gonna have doubts because you can't do that and say 1 minute he's the father, next minute he's not the father, and stuff like that. Play around, going back and forth like that. Because when you get to doing that, then that's when you run the risk of having issues and problems, and that's where a lot of doubts come in. Because if I'm dealing with a little lady and she told me that I got her pregnant, it's my child, and the minute she took the first time she ever told me that you're not the father, I'm going to have doubts. I'm going to have doubts right then and there. And the only way I'm going to believe that child is mine is until we get a DNA test. All right, let's continue.
This year.
July.
I have the message in my phone. It's put up where I have a message.
And so this evidence you submitted to the court is what? A text
Me
exchange?
asking if I could talk to Naraya and her telling me that her and her boyfriend decided I could see
After
her.
months, you finally asked to talk to
No,
her.
that's false. I went from seeing this child every weekend on my off days for the last 2 years. Like I said, every weekend from seeing this child on my off days to I've only seen this child maybe 6 times this year.
So you say, can I talk to Naraya? And she responds, me and my boyfriend agree on her not speaking to you. So have a nice life.
Yes, ma'am.
And see, that's the stuff that goes on too. A lot of times you're dealing with 1 minute, we have a doubt. That's why I say it's always important to get a DNA test. DNA test is definitely a must. That's why you get a DNA test. You find out if it's really your child or not your child, and what's really going on, so you know what you're getting into and what you're walking into. So you don't have to go through all this back and forth stuff. Get a DNA test. Should have wait till a child get 3 years old. He should have got a DNA test earlier in the child's life before the child got old and everything. So that way you wouldn't have to go through this back and forth foolishness that you're going through now. All right, let's continue.
And so I need to know because this is my child. I don't want to continue playing this game with her.
No, you can't play these games.
He been playing games, so all of a sudden you want to see your child.
Again,
No, I'm saying the truth is both of you all are in a tit-for-tat game and Naraya's losing. Because if what you say is correct, Miss Dabney, if this is her biological father, I'm telling you, she's 3 right now, 20 years from now, she don't want to hear no nonsense about how her mother and her father couldn't really get along and that's why she don't know her daddy. No, nobody wants to hear all that. And so all the stuff that adults talk back and forth about, like it seems like it's of supreme importance that you all can't stand one another and I just don't even want to see him. It's childish. It doesn't do anything for the child.
Let me say something before we continue here. That's why it's very important for you guys to vet these women. And that's why it's very important for you women also to get to know and be careful who you lay down with as well. So that way you avoid situations like this. Because had he had read the signs, listen to how she talked, how she acted and everything, he wouldn't have got himself involved in this type. He wouldn't be caught up in this situation like this. And had she had spent time with him, talked to him, got to know him better or whatever like that, and really, really got to feel him out and everything, then she would know, she wouldn't be sitting up here going back and forth playing games like this. Because people do stuff like this. And I know women a lot of times will play games like this too. You know, use a child, you know, as a pawn to play games against a guy, whether he really is the father or not. All right, let's continue.
You making her look out. And I don't know. I don't know if it's his child or not. But the point is he's established a very real relationship with the child.
Because of me.
And listen.
Because I always be the one who drove off. I always be the one
She just got caught. She got right off. She just got caught when she got
I had a car before that. I had a car before that, but you don't have a car. But you don't have one. But you don't have one. But if I had a car way before.
Let me say something here real quick too. A lot of times, if you in a situation, especially guys, if you in a situation like this, you know, you should. If you're a man should not be arguing, going back and forth with a woman. That's number one. If you're in a relationship and you got to go argue back and forth with a woman like this, you need to leave that situation alone. Because a lot of times it's not going to get better. It's going to end up getting worse. You shouldn't be going back and forth arguing with a woman. I know it's an old saying goes, which is still true. A man can't win an argument with a woman. So man, you know, like I said, you shouldn't be going back and forth with a woman because women are known, you know, men argue too, but I know women are known more for arguing because women are more emotional than men. And a lot of times with a man, if you're going back and forth arguing with a woman like this, that means you're becoming emotional just like she is as well. All right, let's continue.
Hold on.